All right, we're live, guys. Welcome back to the Sleuth Intuition channel. I'm your host, Patrick Vallejos, and we are broadcasting to the world live from Phoenix, Arizona. Today, we will be reporting new information on the Gracelyn case, Toya Cordingley, Harvey Weinstein, Jennifer Pan, Rachel Morin, and Rex Heuermann. So we have today's live stream kind of split up into two parts, hour one and hour two. The poll question, how is your weekend going so far? 45% of you say great. Another 45% say nothing special. 9% say shit. You know it's bad when you're selecting shit. I've had a shit weekend before. It's been a long time, but I know how you're feeling. What's up, Christine? Welcome in. Julia Burns. Ziggy. Karen Hick. Bootleg Pass. She Warrior. Good to see you. Ralph. The Blind Pug. Jill, good to see you. Cindy Lean, enjoyed the call-in show, Sleuth. Yeah, that was fun. You never know what you're going to get with those types of live streams. You know, when you open up the panel like that, you just never know. James Cope, good to see you, my friend. Appreciate the comments. Just glad you guys aren't too hard on me when I start kind of thinking out loud, you know, kind of spewing out nonsense. It's like the moment I say it, it's like one of those dummy moments, like, oh, why'd I say that? But you guys are very forgiving, so thank you. Return the Diamonds, what's up? Beth Gonzalez. Cindy, last night I was so emotional at work on a 6-day stretch. Off today, though. There you go. There's always light at the end of the tunnel. Thank you, Cindy. CJK, good to see you. So I think we're going to start with Gracelyn Vick. Are you guys familiar with that case? Looks like there was a lot of speculation going on online. You know how that goes. Let me pull this up here. Diamond says, such a sad case. Yeah, the first time I came across this case was about 2 days ago in the Discord. I think it was Redfoot. He may have posted something about it. So apparently she climbed into a livestock bucket. I guess it has a 2-part lid. Somehow she climbed inside there and was able to pull the lid down, and it kind of locked in on itself. I have a feeling that her breathing inside, I don't know, breathing in the oxygen and whatever's coming out might be thicker or thinner. I'm not sure if that played a part in kind of compressing the lid, maybe. But the way they explained it during the presser was she was able to kind of twist it somewhat. And from that position, you can't, from the inside, you can't undo it. You have to be on the outside. I don't see any buckets here, but this was the photograph that was posted online. This must be her property. You can see the trampoline from the Google if you if you're looking at Google Maps. So Mississippi. The report I read was Taylor Road in, is that Saucier? Saucier? So it's quite the, I don't know, what is that, about an acre? 2 acres? There's a trampoline. I don't see any buckets, though. They probably took it as evidence, maybe. What's going on with you, Cindy? How's your weekend going? Other than working your ass off. What's going on with you, Beth? Yeah, that's the little girl. So apparently she went missing. Social media got a hold of it and accusations started to fly. So your typical missing child, family devastated, accusations flying on social media. I wanted to talk about this case because I wanted to see if you guys thought law enforcement was doing their due diligence. They said that the property has security cameras and they could see Gracelyn going into the area of the bucket. They don't see her climb in. And according to law enforcement, nobody goes near the bucket. Cameras have, they kind of cover the entire property. And if anybody went near the buckets, according to them, the cameras would have captured that. And they also claim to have done a few experiments with a very similar bucket from the inside. I'm not sure what that entails. The forensic team was working on that. A little bit of Mythbusters going on, I think. But very tragic story. This was the bucket that Redfoot posted on the members only Discord. And I don't know if it's accurate, but this does pretty much, this is what they described during the presser. Something exactly like this. So if this isn't it specifically, I think Redfoot is very close because this is what they describe. And when I say they, I'm talking about the sheriff's office. Good to see you, Phil Bond. James, that property looks like an accident waiting to happen. No charges against the family. You know, they're just calling this a horrible accident. Yeah, it is very weird. Beth, I think the major issue now is how long Gracelyn was left alone outside. Yeah, because they say she died basically very similar to if you were locked in a hot car, which, you know, that sounds like torture to me. Yep, suffocated. Heat exhaustion, suffocation. Let's take a look here.
Being reported missing by a family at the residence. During the search for Gracelyn, she was located in the vicinity of the residence inside a barrel and determined to be deceased by unknown causes.
This video kind of breaks up a little bit. I just want you to know it's not my internet or whatever. It's this video. It's not us. So don't panic.
Here's what we found through our investigation.
Sensei.
There are absolutely no signs of foul play. The residents had security cameras that covered the area where the barrel was located. After viewing the video multiple times, it was determined that while playing outside, Gracelyn went inside the barrel herself and closed the lid from the inside, which caused the lid to be stuck and trapped Gracelyn inside the barrel. During the review of the video, saw that nobody else ever walked to the area Gracelyn was located until after the family began searching. There was no way to get to that area without coming into the view of the camera. And all family and volunteers in the area of that barrel at any time were not seen tampering with it. We also saw that came outside, noticed Gracelyn and notified her family within minutes. The results of the autopsy further backed up this evidence. There were no signs of trauma, sexual abuse, or neglect. The exact cause of death is still under investigation by the medical examiner's office, and we expect a full report to be filed in the coming months.
Sensei absolutely says, geez, what an absolute tragedy. I mean, how do you reconcile something like that? James, I would think that the coroner would be able to tell what the death was caused by. Yeah, I think they gave us a pretty good explanation. That's not the entire presser. If you guys want to go watch it, I would just type in Gracelyn's name along with presser. The reception on the video wasn't very good. It's all choppy, but you get most of the facts. Cindy, was she hiding? Maybe didn't want to stop playing. Yeah, we didn't get much of an explanation as to what she was doing. I don't know, maybe just fooling around. I don't know how I made it this long, because as a child, I used to do stuff like that all the time. I vaguely remember locking myself into, I want to say, a refrigerator. Like when you got into it and you close it, the latch kind of locks on itself. And I think I may have locked myself in there. That or my brother. I vaguely remember something like that. But doing stuff like that all the time, though, you know? I mean, who would have thought, hey, I better not leave this barrel here because somebody's going to jump in it and somehow twist it, you know, closed from inside. Absolutely horrible. Of Sensei, we've all probably hidden things when we were kids without thinking. What if the lids get stuck or something? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The fragility of life. It's very very fragile, man. Yep, little one. And I guess people were pointing their fingers at them. So I don't know. I just wanted to see if you guys accept the official narrative. It looks pretty cut and dry. But if they were trying to deceive law enforcement and the public, I just don't see how that would be possible. It is their security cameras. I just don't see how, I don't know, you know, it would be a very intricate setup if they went through all of that to try to commit and get away with the murder. So I think it's pretty much an accident. But what do you guys think? Cindy, I remember refrigerator kids would go in, and that is why they don't make them like that anymore. I think there's, industrial size refrigerators. A lot of people have passed away, frozen to death. They walk into the walk-in refrigerator and it latches behind them. I think that used to be a common thing. Patty, I also got locked in a fridge when I was 7. My brother heard my screams. I think I had an incident with a dryer too. Like I climbed into a dryer or something, and my cousins put something in front of the dryer, and then I couldn't. It like wedged me in there. But it's so vague, I can't remember if it was me in the dryer or me witnessing like a friend or a family member. Hey, Ann, how's it going? Yep, just like the trunks and vehicles now, they have like a latch, like a fail safe. If you get locked in the trunk, you can just pull this latch and it'll pop it open. She warrior. I locked my brother in a refrigerator when I was young. Sounds like attempted moita. This is what they had to say about the barrel.
Was a food type barrel for livestock. And the lid was a two-piece lid. And the only way that that lid could have been in the position that it was in would be from the inside of the barrel. Was a food type barrel for livestock. And the lid was a two-piece lid. And the only way that that lid could have been in the position that it was in would be from the inside of the barrel.
Does that make sense? Beth says, I don't think there was any foul play. I'm heartbroken for especially her mom, but family as well. Yeah. I just don't know how you reconcile something like this. Hey, Redfoot, we were just talking about you. So you've been kind of thinking about this case for a few days. What's your verdict? A little one, yes, that makes sense. Absolutely. Anna Lisette, I don't understand that information. Those barrels screw from the top down. Maybe the lid was askew. Yeah, I'm thinking maybe cockeyed and wedged, maybe. It's kind of like a child safety mechanism, and she had locked it on herself, not quite understanding how the two-part lid works. And even then, you'd have to kind of see it reversed in your mind from inside the barrel, not knowing you're probably tightening it even more on yourself. You're trying to loosen it, but really you begin to tighten it. Panic will set in. If it is anything like this, what Redfoot shared in the Discord, pretty much soundproof too. You would have to be standing probably within maybe 10 to 20 feet to hear anything. Anna Lisette says cattle feed. It was mentioned liquid cattle feed like Lumix. If there was any inside, a child could get stuck, I think. I know that's true with silos. We used to jump in corn silos and we would get yelled at. I guess people die like that all the time. It's kind of like quicksand. Just keep sinking down to the bottom and then eventually suffocate, I guess. See, I forgot about that too. Playing in corn silos. Guess we just need to start being more careful with our kids. Redfoot says, I'm not sure. I almost wanted to hit the rabbit on this one, but the video doesn't show anybody else. Yeah, that was very convincing. But then again, we haven't really seen the video. We're supposed to take his word for it. Apparently, he knew the child as well. Like me, I don't trust anybody. And I'm prone to lean towards conspiracy. I've learned to kind of keep that under wraps. You got to know your strengths and your weaknesses. You know, that's definitely one of my weaknesses. Sensationalism. All right. If you guys haven't participated in the poll, do it. Do it. So far, we are winning with the positive vibes. How is your weekend going so far? 50% of you say great. I like the looks of that. I'm sure she's seen these barrels opened and had some idea of how to fasten the top on snugly. Yeah, I'm thinking maybe in her mind, she was like, okay, I need to spin it this way and it'll come off. But she was, she had it backwards and she may have tightened it out on herself mistakenly. I've always been paranoid as a parent, maybe too protective of my kids. Yeah, I definitely sheltered. You know what? But no serious injuries or nothing like that to report. Knock on wood. Be hard to fasten the lid from inside, but I am a bit late to the show, so may have missed something. No, that's really all they talked about. They didn't give the best. Sorry, guys, I have a fly trying to buzz me. Hold on. I got to get the bug assault, the original salt gun. Damn fly. I dare you to come back over here. Let's see. It would be hard to fasten from inside, but I'm late. No, I mean, that's pretty much everything. Here's the barrel explanation again.
Was a food type barrel for livestock. And the lid was a two-piece lid. And the only way that that lid could have been in the position that it was in would be from the inside of the barrel.
I mean, do you just say, oh, okay? All right. How many of you are not familiar with the case out of Australia of Toya Cordingley? Welcome in, mistress. Says I'm not familiar with that case. Toya Cordingley was a 24-year-old Australian woman who was murdered on October 21st, 2018, while walking her dog on the Wangeti Beach, north of Cairns in far north Queensland. Her body was found the next morning by her father, Troy Cordingley, partially buried in the sand dunes with multiple stab wounds, including a slashed throat and other visible injuries described as frenzied and brutal. Her dog was found tied up nearby, unharmed. The attack was believed to be personal and possibly sexually motivated, though specific details about the cause of death were not publicly detailed beyond the stab wounds. Phil Bond says, I'm not familiar with it. Redfoot says, honestly, I kind of want to believe that they are intentionally feeding the public misinformation so that sleuths on social media don't get it, like what happened in Delphi. Welcome in, Brett Decker. Good to see you. I believe that's her father there. She had a really pretty smile. Let's look at, I think it's pronounced Rajwinder Singh. This guy right here. He just kind of looks like a creep. Rajwinder, a 40-year-old former nurse from Innisfail, became the prime suspect. He fled to India the day after the murder, leaving behind his job, his wife, and 3 children. Queensland police identified him as a person of interest in April 2019, and an extradition request was signed in March of 2021. Singh was arrested in New Delhi on November 25th of 2022, following a $1 million reward offered by Queensland authorities. He was extradited to Australia in March of 2023 and charged with murder. Can somebody explain what the hell this is? Like, what are we looking at here? We ran in handcuffs, so just hold my hand, bro. Interlock your fingers. I guess it definitely would be harder to escape with your fingers interlocked. It's just kind of funny. It's in the eyes. It's always in the eyes. What's up, Scott? How you been? I feel like I haven't seen you in a minute. How the hell are you? What have you been up to? He just has this like stalking look to him. Like even when I'm in custody, I'm still stalking. But either way, it's all in the eyes, I'm telling you. The prosecution's case relied on circumstantial evidence, including mobile phone data, DNA evidence, though degraded and contested, and seeing sudden departure from Australia. The defense argued that other suspects, including Cordingley's boyfriend, Marco Heidenreich, and 2 other men, could not be ruled out, and claimed police may have overlooked alternative leads. A 13-day trial in Cairns Supreme Court in February through March of 2025 ended with a hung jury, unable to reach a unanimous verdict after 2.5 days of deliberation. Queensland law requires unanimous verdicts in murder cases. So the jury was discharged, and Singh is set to face a retrial with the new trial date to be determined. Cordingley was described as a vibrant, compassionate pharmacy worker, an animal shelter volunteer, loved by her community. Her family, including her parents Troy and Vanessa Gardner, have expressed ongoing grief and a desire for justice. Though they acknowledge it won't bring her back, the case remains unresolved with the retrial pending. I think that is her boyfriend there. Okay, okay. Well, I hope you're taking care of yourself. Yeah, we're looking at a hung jury here. Here's that dude without his beard. Looks like he shops at Baby Gap. Like you couldn't find a little bit of a longer shirt, like maybe by an inch or two.
After a 4-year police investigation, the man accused of killing Cairns woman Toya Cordingley finally touches down in Australia.
It's fantastic. There is a lengthy process ahead of Mr Singh when he returns to Queensland, and I wouldn't like to jeopardise what is yet to occur.
Details of the highly sensitive extradition were kept from the public. Tightly guarded by 7 police officers, Rajwinder Singh was taken from South Asia's largest prison, Tihar Jail, and handed over to Queensland Police. They escorted him on the flight from New Delhi to Melbourne.
Can I say how thankful we are for the police investigation here? Like, it has been phenomenal, and hopefully it will give Toya's family a sense of comfort.
24-year-old Toya Cordingley was found on a beach north of Cairns in 2018 after she had been out walking her dog. Police say Mr Singh flew to India's Punjab region the day after her body was found. Toya's close-knit community came together to help search for answers. Last November, Queensland Police offered a $1 million reward for information. Weeks later, they had a suspect.
I wonder if they actually paid that reward. That's a lot of money. I mean, you offer a $1 million reward, they cough up the dude. You got to cough up the cash, right? I feel like they always weasel out of it.
When Rajwinder Singh was arrested here in New Delhi in November, experts said it could take years to resolve his extradition case in India's clogged-up court system. But Mr Singh told the courts he wanted to go to Australia to fight these charges, which sped up this extradition process. Rajwinder Singh maintains he is innocent. He's expected to be transferred to Queensland to front a magistrate later this week. Avani Dyers, ABC News, New
Delhi. This account says sometimes people won't take it. Well, I feel like they offered it and somebody they threw out the bait, right, for the fish. They threw it out there. And then here comes the hungry fish biting at the bait. The bait is the money. So why are you responding to a $1 million reward and then denying it? But I know what you mean, kind of like a Kathy Shank situation. But I've seen a few cases where they found reasons not to give the reward. Like I can't remember the name, but there was some guy was on the run and they were plastering his face all over the place saying, hey, we have a reward. And there was a couple that was in a I think it was a gas station. And they're like, hey, there's that guy. So they took a video of him and called law enforcement. Law enforcement came, captured him, and then refused to give them the reward. So then I spent the next hour trying to find actual cases where they paid out on the reward, and I couldn't find one. I couldn't find one case where they were like, yes, hey, I called in a tip, and look, they gave me $300,000. I don't think that they actually pay people, at least here in the United States. So I'm wondering if Australia actually paid somebody who tipped this guy in. I guess I'm just curious. Finding your own daughter that somebody murdered and tried to bury in the sand. I mean, how do you go on? Like, how do you wake up? I've actually asked that to a few folks who were kind enough to come on to the show as guests who have lost family members. And the answer is always, you don't have a choice. You don't get to decide. Cases with big rewards, you find diabolical people. I don't like fresh cases anymore. It's a good point. I assume the Indiana government and the Punjab got the reward. Oh, the government? Yeah. It might have been more of a political reward. I think you're right about that. And then what? That's just taxpayer money, I guess. Australia was going to have to fight for extradition. Very difficult from India. Yeah, sounds like more of a deal, huh? Than anything. They offered the reward and the government was like, well, here you go. And then making sure they get paid. I think you're right, Anna. That makes sense to me. Love Bomb, hello. Happy Easter to you as well. Happy Easter weekend to all of you. All right. So that case might be new to a few of you. I've been kind of diving into it. It was suggested to me, actually, a couple months ago. But that was the case of Toya Cordingley. Now, we're going to talk about what's going on with Harvey Weinstein. We're not going to spend too much time on this creepy guy. I'm sure you guys are all fully aware who this guy is. If you're not, type a 1 in the chat. That's a good point too, this account. Maybe some folks would like to keep it private. Whoops. Accidentally closed down my YouTube. Oh, well, I don't need that right now. So Harvey Weinstein, a former film producer, is currently facing a retrial in New York for sex crime charges, which began with jury selection on April 15th, 2025. His 2020 New York conviction for rape and criminal sexual acts was overturned April of 2024 by the state's Court of Appeals, which found the trial unfair due to prejudicial testimony from accusers not tied to the charges. The retrial involves allegations from two women from the original case. Miriam Haley, assaulted in 2006. That's Miriam there. And Jessica Mann. No, this is Miriam. And this is Jessica, sorry. Plus the new charge of sexually assaulting an unidentified woman in a Manhattan hotel in 2006. Weinstein, who's 73, has pleaded not guilty, maintaining all encounters were consensual. His health is reportedly deteriorating with issues including diabetes, heart conditions, and recent hospitalizations. The trial is expected to last about 6 weeks. Weinstein also faces a 16-year sentence from a 2022 Los Angeles conviction for rape, which ensures he will remain incarcerated regardless of the New York outcome. Over 100 women have accused him of sexual misconduct since 2017, sparking the Me Too movement. His defense argues media bias and judicial errors tainted the original trial, while prosecutors portray him as a serial predator who abused his Hollywood influence. Jury selection has proven challenging, with some prospective jurors admitting bias against him. Okay, so how do we know Jessica Mann? I don't think I've ever seen this movie. She's an actress. Asylum, Twisted Horror, and Fantasy Tales. I don't think I've seen that. This Isn't Funny. I don't think I've seen that either. Caveman. I don't think I've seen it. Drudge. Hmm. 12, 12, 12. It's kind of creepy. Big Time Rush. It's Jessica Mann. And then Miriam Haley, another victim that's come out publicly. Apparently, she's a director or a producer. Some of her projects: Shoot Me Too. Haven't seen it. The Last Impresario. I don't think I've seen that either. MSNBC Reports. And then actually, it looks like one on Weinstein, titled Weinstein in Court.
Harvey Weinstein's retrial in New York. The former movie producer was convicted of rape in 2020 and sentenced to 23 years in prison. But then 5 years later, the state's Court of Appeals threw out the convictions and ordered a new trial. CBS News New York's Christina Fan reports from Manhattan.
Good morning. The judge, prosecution, and defense will begin work this morning to whittle down a massive pool of potential jurors down to 18 people, consisting of 12 jurors and 6 alternates. This process is expected to last for several days, with opening statements not scheduled to begin until next week. Ahead of this morning's proceedings, Harvey Weinstein's attorney, Arthur Adala, expressed that his client is looking forward to a fair trial held in a different climate than the first, which drew intense media attention and saw protesters chanting "rapist" outside the courthouse. Another key difference this time around will be the number of accusers. At his first trial, Weinstein faced testimony from 6 women, 3 whose accusations formed the basis of the charges, and 3 more to lend credibility and establish a pattern of misconduct. Last April, the New York Court of Appeals ruled that those additional witnesses...
I wonder how much of his physical appearance is being feigned, or if, I wonder if he's malingering here to try to gain favor with the jury or the court. Because, I mean, he looks pretty bad.
Those additional witnesses biased the case and, as a result, overturned that verdict. This time around, prosecutors will only be...
So I wonder if it's real or if it's a sympathy plea.
calling 3 accusers to the stand. They are a movie and TV production assistant who alleges Weinstein forcibly sexually assaulted her at his apartment in 2006, an aspiring actress who alleges he raped her at a hotel in 2013, and a third woman prosecutors added to the case after the initial conviction was overturned, who alleges that Weinstein assaulted her at a hotel in 2006. Now, even if Weinstein is acquitted, he will not walk free. He was sentenced to 16 years for a 2022 rape conviction.
Yeah, so no matter what this account, he's going to prison for 16 years. No matter what the results of this retrial, he already has a 16-year conviction. And by the looks of things, he's not going to live very long. He looks like shit. He's like slowly folding into himself. Welcome in, Banta. It's a joke because many of the Hollywood actors know he accosted women, and Meryl Streep even applauded Harvey like did Roman Polanski. Oh, yeah. Here, watch this.
Bob Weinstein, God bless him.
Harvey Weinstein, who believed in us and made this movie.
Harvey and Bob Weinstein.
Harvey Weinstein. Thank you, Harvey Weinstein, especially Harvey.
I want to thank Harvey and Bob Weinstein.
Thank Harvey Weinstein.
Harvey Weinstein. Harvey, who first took me on 20 years ago.
I would like to thank Harvey Weinstein. Harvey Weinstein, who had the guts, the courage, the commitment.
Especially Harvey Weinstein, a man of dedication and vision.
Harvey Weinstein. Well, listen, so...
Harvey and Bob Weinstein, you also break my heart with your uncensored passion.
Harvey Weinstein.
Harvey Weinstein.
Harvey Weinstein.
Harvey and Bob. And Harvey and Bob Weinstein.
To you, Harvey. Harvey Weinstein.
Harvey Weinstein.
The Harvey Weinstein Company, okay?
Thank you, Harvey Weinstein, for putting your heart behind this film and shining the light on this. We really like to share this with you.
I want to thank the Mishpucha Weinstein.
British television shows disgraced movie.
So, yeah, everybody knew. It's crazy. Yeah, you're right. Money. This was all to advance the Me Too movement. Yeah, that movement, I don't know how strong it is today, but it's definitely still going. I still hear that you know, the Me
Movie mogul Harvey Weinstein touching a woman during a business meeting, and that woman later accused him of rape.
It's a little high.
Sky News.
See that? Look how disgusting this is. Let's see. He says, let me have a little part of you. Like, what does that even mean? And at this point, he has his right hand on her thigh. Let me have a little part of you. Give it to me. It's okay. Would you like to do it some more? A little bit. Uh-huh. That's a little high. That's a little high. Back. That's okay. So another thing, and she tries to ignore him. Like, how scary would that be? And I really think that this is what they mean by selling your soul, right? When it comes to Hollywood, you're giving up a part of yourself. You're negotiating with who you are morally, right? I think that's what they mean. You could apply that to the whole Puff Daddy situation. Hey, let me film you. Take things for your career. That's like selling your soul, right, to the devil. And in this case, who's the devil? Harvey Weinstein. He's like basically telling her, like, look, my intentions, I'm going to put my intentions out there. If you're coming to me to further your career, this is the door you have to go through. And I wonder how many people were just like, okay. And more like,
The video just shows casual flirting, but Thompson, who made this recording, says the tone of the meeting made her very uneasy.
I lost my train of thought, and I was trying so hard to gain back my own mental footing. At some point, his whole affect changed, and he looked like a predator.
Thompson says she later met Weinstein at a nearby hotel bar, and she claims that he led her to a room and raped her. Weinstein has been charged in New York with assaulting 2 women.
Yikes. Yeah, everybody knows that Hollywood is very wicked. That game is just evil. The casting couch has been going in Hollywood way back when. Yeah, I saw a very disturbing documentary on some folks who worked for Nickelodeon. What's up, Frank? The thing, if you're a female actor, move clothes, get the ball. Yeah, sure. Like, you can't really have he's not a in my opinion. He ain't in 16 years, but I still don't know if he's malingering. He could be like feigning those symptoms. Nakia Schultz, interesting. You start talking about Weinstein and it's choppy as fuck. Sorry about that. Is it? You guys getting any choppiness? Let me know. I can always try to refresh. Thank you. If you could hit the like button. People talk at that. Yeah. That's where the whole Me Too thing came from. Strength in numbers, I guess. And then just like anything, have abusing it, right? Look at the Kevin Spacey thing. It was proved to be I don't know about. I just know that there were accusations against him, and now there's not. So creep overlooked it. I don't know if Hollywood overlooked it. I think he is Hollywood. Some turn off, they can turn a switch. Like we can go from your career. The choice is yours. So be and whoever was protecting him, they just stopped protecting him. Like the linemen, they're supposed to protect their quarterback. Sometimes they might just step out of the way. Let that linebacker come running right through. Know what I mean? Absolutely must. I mean, that is Hollywood. Is He's back. I don't know how much of the Yep. I mean, if you step into the devil's house, like what are you expecting in there? Yeah, maybe, Nakia. Roman Polanski. Yeah, crazy. Roman Polanski, Sharon Tate, else, Charles Manson. They're all connected. It's all wickedness. I mean, you seen how they did Sharon Tate. They literally hung her up like the tarot card. The hangman. It's good to see you, Cyber. This account, Sleuth, you have to look at the producer. The original Two things did be same film on breaks from shooting. He also has charges. It was then. Polanski is a predator, absolutely. I still think he had something to do with all of that. Whatever happened to I just was involved in all the kinds. Some kind of ritual. Polanski graped. Sorry about the age. He came out 3 years old. Jesus. All right. I think I have one more quick little video on Harvey Weinstein, and that'll do it for hour one.
The Harvey Weinstein trial started deliberating today. Simone Boyce takes us through some of the major events since the Weinstein allegations first came to light. We should warn you, some of these details are graphic.
Harvey Weinstein, once one of the most powerful men in Hollywood. A name in filmography known around the world. But that fame turned to infamy as dozens of sexual assault allegations exposed a dark reputation the movie mogul had long tried to hide. On October 5th, 2017, Jodi Kantor and Megan Twohey released a story with the New York Times that centered around a number of allegations made by different women against Harvey Weinstein. This included famous actresses like Rose McGowan and Ashley Judd. That very same day, Weinstein issued a response to the New York Times article saying he was raised in an earlier time when the rules and behavior about workplaces were different. He followed that with an apology, saying that he had, quote, a long way to go. Weinstein also announced that he was taking a leave of absence from the Weinstein Company. A few days later, it became clear Harvey Weinstein had actually been fired by the board of directors of the Weinstein Company. On October 10th, 2017, The New Yorker published an article by journalist Ronan Farrow detailing even more damaging allegations against Weinstein.
Yeah, you safe.
More women came forward. Kantor released an article with accusations from Hollywood A-listers like Angelina Jolie, Gwyneth Paltrow, and many others who wanted to share their stories. And Georgina Chapman, Weinstein's wife, announced she was leaving him. The film industry was quick to react to the Harvey Weinstein allegations. On October 14th, Weinstein was expelled from the Academy. 5 days later, Tom Hanks told the BBC there was no way back for Weinstein, predicting...
I don't know. There's been a lot of talk about Tom Hanks too, and his trips to Epstein Island. So I don't know. I think we're going to hear about him. So it's interesting to hear him say that about Weinstein.
Back for Weinstein, predicting, quote, his last name would become an identifying moniker for a state of being, for which there was a before and an after.
That sounds a bit, you know, Hank so innocent, but yet we hear all these weird about him. It will be being for which there was a before and I think that
on February 2nd, 2018, BAFTA officially terminated Harvey Weinstein's membership. Then on March 19th, the Weinstein Company officially declared bankruptcy. This process voided all the non-disclosure agreements it had reached with Weinstein's accusers. On that day, the company released a statement saying, quote, no one should be afraid to speak out or coerced to stay quiet. The company thanks the courageous individuals that have already come forward. On May 25th, 2018, Harvey Weinstein turned
that's
himself
gross,
into
Anna.
the NYPD. He was facing sexual
That just sounds disgusting. Described as necrosis in external genitalia. Ew.
abuse and rape charges. He's released the next day on $1 million bail. Weinstein was charged with 2 accounts of forcible sex acts against 2 unnamed women, one in 2013 and one in 2014. He pleaded not guilty to both. In July of that year, Weinstein faced a new charge of predatory sexual assault for a case from 2006, where he allegedly forced a woman into oral sex. He pleaded not guilty to this as well. Over the course of the next few months, more women came forward to allege they were assaulted. By October 2018, there were 6 official charges of sexual assault against Weinstein, but one was thrown out by the court. On December 11th, 2019, the now bankrupt Weinstein Company reached a settlement deal with Weinstein's alleged victims. $25 million was split amongst nearly 30 women, mostly actresses, although some accusers objected to the deal. On the same day, Weinstein appeared in court hunched over a walker. On January 6, 2020, Weinstein's trial finally began in New York City after already being delayed once. Many of his accusers stood outside the courtroom making speeches before the jury selection began.
The trial means so much to so many.
In Los Angeles, county prosecutors announced new charges of sexual assault and rape by Weinstein as well. The allegations against Harvey Weinstein sparked a movement demanding transparency and accountability across the globe, forever reshaping the conversation around sexual assault and abuses of power.
Hey, NBC.
All right, guys, that's it for hour 1. So we are on the top of hour 2. We're going to dive into some updates in the Jennifer Pan case. Is what I refer to as a pure psychopath in its purest form. Yeah, what happened with Bill Cosby, CJK? Charges and let him out. What's going on here? Intermission, snack break. Many who do not know who this person is. Jennifer Pan. Type of one. He did time, I thought. I feel like he's out of prison right now. I could be wrong. I agree, Banta. There are probably as many females as there are men as predators, but we hear less about the females. Like, yeah, and male victims, I think, are less likely to talk, or it might be easier to convince them that it's cool. You know, I remember when I was young, I had a crush on one of my teachers, and if for whatever reason she would have like entertained that, I don't know if I would have realized it or not that I was being victimized, you know? And that's why children are children and adults are adults. There is a difference. This account, he's not appropriately, and that's why he's hunched. He's trying to look miserable. Like, please have sympathy on me. Look, I'm old, everybody. I'm all hunched over and I need a walker. I'm harmless now. Please go easy on me. Mustang says Bill Cosby was a shock, but then again, makes sense. He was Crosby from prison on June 30th, 2021, as the Supreme Court overturned his 2018 conviction on sexual assault charges. The court ruled that his due process rights violated. Oh, geez. So they're not innocent of the crimes. It was a technicality. Yuck. Well, he'll just reoffend, that's for sure. Definitely going to reoffend, in my opinion. Mustangs. Walker looked like a prop. That I'm not sure. But I've seen it done before, you know, where they're trying to gain sympathy. Okay, so who is Jennifer Pan? On November 8th, 2010, police in Markham, Ontario, Canada, a suburb of Toronto, responded to a report of a robbery and assault at the Unionville home of Han and Bic Pan, ethnically Chinese Vietnamese immigrants. Both had been shot repeatedly. Bic died of her injuries, and Han was permanently blinded. The investigation revealed that the crime was not a robbery, but instead a kill for hire, orchestrated by the couple's daughter, Jennifer Pan, born June 17, 1986. She had expected to inherit her parents' money and was angered that they had forbidden her to see her boyfriend after they discovered she had been deceiving them about her education. At trial, Pan was found guilty on multiple charges and sentenced to life imprisonment, the possibility of parole after 25 years. The same to co-conspirators. In May 2023, Pan on murder charge, but upheld the attempted murder. 2 years later, the Supreme Court of Canada sustained the appeal. It is still not expired. So she's like, how is that even possible? Article from True Crime Blog Stories and News. Why did Jennifer Pan orchestrate a plot to murder her parents? By Adam Janos. Okay, at first it seemed like a robbery gone wrong. Jennifer Pan, then 24 years old, called 911 on November 8th, 2010 to report that the Markham, Ontario home she lived in with her parents had been broken into and her parents shot. I think she told the emergency dispatcher that she had been tied to a banister but allowed to live. Pan's mother, 50-year-old, for injuries. Her father, 57-year-old, and was rushed to the hospital with serious injuries after being shot in the face. The York Regional Police Chief described their targeting as random and money-driven. What followed was a frantic search for a trio of killers, but in the end, investigators turned their attention to an unlikely source: Jennifer herself. After a series of clues and interrogations, it became clear Jennifer Pan had orchestrated the hit on her parents. Let's go ahead and hear the 911 call first.
Where are you, ma'am? Please just don't help me. I don't have my parents on. Ma'am, calm down. What? Some people broke into our house. Okay, to show us all his money. Okay, ma'am, where are you? What? Avenue Road. Yes. Can you spell the street name for me, please? Dad? Ma'am. Hello? Dad?
What the? Here's an interview with her, and I added a few extra things in here. A few jump scares, so brace yourself.
Once he came home, he phoned up my uncle and asked him to go to buy USB pen, I think, just to go shopping with him because my uncle doesn't drive. They left, so my mom had prepared dinner because she was heading to go dancing that night, line dancing. She does it every Monday. And so her and I sat down for dinner first. And then after my father came home, he did that. And then a friend of mine came over. We do TV night every so often. So my dad, I guess, went up on the computer as he always does. And I was downstairs with my friend watching movies. And my mom was out dancing. My friend left around 9, I believe.
See, now, if they didn't have any evidence that he was lying, a lot of people would she's honest, right? And that's what separates us. You have people who come in and they kind of support these accused killers like Rick Allen, Brian Koberger, Karen Reed. I think that they can't be civil to the psychopath. I think they all this manipulative behavior. Hook lunker.
I upstairs in my room called it a night with the TV on, talking on the phone with a friend of mine. And then shortly after, my mom.
This account, did you hear the screaming in the background? That's her father after being shot in the face. Gave me chills.
Came home, I believe that was around 9:30 or so. She was rummaging downstairs. I didn't think anything of it. And then suddenly I just heard my mom calling for my dad to come down. And that's when I lowered the volume on my TV. And I could hear the voices weren't any voices I was very familiar with. And so I was scared and I couldn't move. I just sat in my room for a while. And then I thought I heard them all leave the top floor, and I peered out of my bedroom door. And a guy was there, and he came at me and had string in his hands and tied my arms back and said, "I have a gun behind your back. Do what I say. If you do what I say, then no one will get hurt. Where is the money? Show me where your money is." I had still a bit of money put aside from when I was waitressing, cash. So I showed him where it was, and he took it and put it in his pocket, I think. And then that's where they pushed me to my parents' room.
Piles of manipulative lying crap!
Didn't really know, so they kind of one was right beside me, blocking my way to the door, while the other ones turned over the bed to find some more cash in my mom's bedside table. In which then they dragged me down the stairs and made me kneel at the bottom, telling me to face down on the floor while the other guy had a gun behind my head, and asked my mom where her purse was. My mom kept trying to get up, and they kept telling her to sit down, and so I didn't want her to get hurt, so I told her, "Mom, sit down." They were trying to find her wallet, but her English is good, so she kept saying purse. They kept pushing her down to the chair.
Okay. Take your time. Take your time. All this is very important. So
Look at this artist. Pure psychopath. Cold-blooded killer.
On the main floor. The only time there was light was when they opened the fridge door to see if they could find where my mom's purse was. At that point, I saw 3.
Yeah, what you did? I know what you did!
He had a hoodie on, and I believe he had a bandana of some sort covering from like his lower, under his eyes down. And then for some reason, I think one of the gentlemen asked my father if he had money in his wallet and where his wallet was. So they took me, because I was next to the stairwell, they took me up the stairs to show them where my father's wallet was. But I didn't know. They had turned the room upside down. I didn't know where his pants were at that time. And then after they had gotten
She's got it all mapped out.
They had taken me and they tied me to the top of the banister. Just with one string, I could still move, but I was afraid to because the one guy just had that gun. Just next thing I know, I think I heard my parents going down the stairs, and my mom was asking them for me to come with them. They wouldn't let me come with them. After they said, the last thing I heard them say was, you lied to us, you lied to us. And then I heard 2 pops. My mom screamed. I yelled out for her. And a couple more pops.
Take your time. Take your time.
And I think I heard my mom say or moan or something, and then they did one more before they left, and then one of the
Yeah, I
guys
think you're right.
said, we have to go now, it's been too long. And then they ran up the door, and once they were out the door, I heard my dad go up the stairs, and at that point, I had my phone on me, behind me, that I had hidden there that they didn't know about. So when I thought that they had heard them all leave, and my dad ran up the stairs, I whipped up the phone and I called 911. But I still hadn't heard anything from my mom, and all I could hear was my dad running on the street, just moaning and making sounds.
So I think you guys get one more thing on Jennifer. This is the update here. So Supreme Court orders new murder trial for Jennifer. Supreme Court of Canada has confirmed an order for new first-degree murder trials for an Ontario woman and 3 others who were convicted in an attack on her parents. Jennifer Pan was sentenced in 2010 to life in which was parole, 25 first-degree life for a 2010 attack that left her mother dead and her father was dead. I believe he's blind as well. Her 3 co-accused were convicted on the same charges. In its ruling Thursday, the Supreme Court said there should be new first-degree murder trials for all 4, but affirmed the convictions for attempted murder. On November 8, 2010, 3 armed intruders entered the Pan family home in Markham, Ontario, into the basement and shot Jennifer was tied to an upstairs banister with a shoelace. At trial, the Jennifer, who had a difficult relationship with her help of others. All 4 of the accused were in on the court of first-degree murder and attempted murder. 2 years ago, Ontario's Court of Appeal ordered new trials on the first-degree murder convictions. So you have an obvious case here. They know exactly what happened. They know who are involved. And here we are, still going to trial. So it's mind-boggling how that shit happens. But we do have some great news in the Rachel Morin case. And I know most of you who follow my channel are familiar with this case. We've been covering it pretty much from the beginning. On the right, you have Rachel Morin. And on the left, you have now not accused, but convicted. He is officially a convicted murderer. And the thing, this account is Jennifer Pan is extremely convincing. If they didn't have 100% proof that she was involved, a lot of people would still believe her. And it's kind of scary how some can be susceptible to the manipulation of a psychopath or sociopath. What's up, Willow's Trials and True Crime Discussions? Yeah, I'm getting over a cold as well. I think it was caused by my allergies. So if you hear me cutting in and out, it's probably because I'm sneezing. You can probably tell I'm a little congested. Who is the blonde detoxed woman in the pic? Here, this one. That's Rachel Morin. Has been convicted more than a year and a half after the was attacked, raped, and murdered while out on a morning jog. Victor Martinez Hernandez was found guilty of Morin's death Monday on charges of first-degree murder, first-degree rape, third-degree sex offense, and kidnapping. The Harford County State's Attorney Office announced, "This case shook our Harford County community and robbed a family of their daughter, sister, mother, and friend." Allison Healy, the Harford State Attorney, said in a statement. Our jury deliberated the 23-year-old Martinez Hernandez, according to CBS Baltimore. "It is my sincere hope that today's verdict brings some peace and closure to the entire Morin family," Healy said. "While no verdict or sentence can ever bring Rachel back, I am proud of the work that was done to ensure that justice was served and that Victor Martinez Hernandez will never again be a threat to another woman in this lifetime." So viewer discretion is advised. We'll hear from Rachel's mother. She's going to tell about exactly what happened to Rachel and what happened in this very drainage tunnel here. So viewer discretion is definitely advised here. We knew it was bad just from what we've learned and following the case and the details, but I had no clue it was this bad. So brace yourself.
Maryland mother of 5 in 2023 was found guilty on all counts. The jury, they deliberated for less than an hour before deciding to convict. Now, that's how clear-cut this case was. So while justice did prevail in this case, Rachel should be alive today. Her killer should never have been allowed into our country. There's blood on the hands of every single person that allowed this to happen. Democrats have allowed over 12 million plus illegals, gotaways, including known terrorists, murderers, rapists, other violent criminals, drug dealers, cartel members into our country. And even today, they are championing their so-called rights over your safety. How many more Americans will be victims to these violent criminals committed by these Biden-Harris illegals? Anyway, tonight,
is that true, Anna?
Prayers are with everyone in Rachel's family, her 5 children, and her mother, Patty Morin, who joins us now. Patty, thank you for being with us. I appreciate it. I've had the opportunity to talk to you before, and I want to get your reaction to the verdict. And it will never bring back your daughter. It will never.
Before we get into this, are you saying it's choppy, guys, or what? Audio is choppy. Okay, hold on. Here, let's do this. Let me refresh this. Okay, because I think it's very important for people to hear exactly what happened to Rachel. You know, face what happened. So hopefully this is breeze.
Bring back the mother of your 5 grandchildren. How do you feel about it? Maybe you have some vindication, but I'm sure it's in a lot of ways hollow, right?
Yeah. First, you have to understand, and I think the American people don't understand the gruesome brutality of the crime. And a lot of the details were left out when they gave us kind of like the outline of what they were going to present to the prosecutors. But when you were actually sitting in the courtroom, and we were there for the whole trial, and they showed over 500 pieces of evidence and very, very graphic crime scene photos and autopsy photos. And when you saw that 3/4 of her brain was hemorrhaged, that 3/4 of her skull was bashed in, she had a 6-inch square in the back of her head where the skull was shattered the way that you would crush an eggshell. She had her face was bashed in. She had literally bruises, contusions, scrapes all over her body. The murderer dragged her 150 yards as blood gushed out of her head into the tunnel. And then he put her up against the tunnel wall and raped her. And you could see her body, and you see the outline of blood from her head running down. So you see the outline of her body and blood on the tunnel wall. These are the kind of people that the Biden-Harris administration has allowed into our country. And they think that it's okay to defend them instead of defending my daughter and protecting us. I don't understand that. So I'm having seen the evidence and seen the gruesome brutality that my daughter had to endure. I am very grateful to all the law enforcement and all the investigation and all the different law enforcement agencies that work to find the suspect and to bring him to justice. So when we heard the verdict, it was very sad because we had to relive and see everything that my daughter suffered. But then at the same time, we were convinced that this was the murderer and that justice was served.
Yeah, me neither, this account. The fact that he killed her first and then engaged in sexual activity after her passed away. I mean, a monster, a sadist, at the very least. So he is now a convicted killer. He hasn't been sentenced yet, but he is definitely a convicted killer now. I mean, nobody should have to pass away in a place like this. It's like it takes a monster to take away heaven and turn it into a hell real quick. You know, you go from having an afternoon jog, which is quite refreshing. You know, very stress relieving. Basically, therapy is what it is. And you have basically a troll living under it. Some evidence that was here a bit, or like an iPhone watch. All right, guys, we are almost finished here. In a few minutes, once we catch up on the chat, we're going to dive into the updates with the Rex Heuermann case, which are pretty interesting. Also, one of Rex's co-workers was interviewed, and I have that transcript. We hear about this. Yeah, I think you might be right, Cindy. Yeah, that's really all I knew. That was like a large rock that was used to crush her skull. Because one was mentioned something about that. But I didn't know it was going to be that bad. I mean, how can one person do that to another human being? Like, I just don't understand. You just brutally murdered somebody and you're still in the mood for sexual activity. That's right. If sexual sadist. Yep. You know, there's no real punishment. The only fair thing to do would be to bash his skull and to have somebody do to him what he did to her. But then that makes you just like him, right? A monster. So there's real justice. There's no way. It's so random. Like getting struck by lightning or a shark attack or something like that. You know what I mean? It's like getting in a car accident. You just don't expect it. You become complicit with, when it comes to these types of things. And you see them come. There aren't very flat. And that's really what we do on this channel is try to figure that out. I take types of things so that we can protect our own family. All right, guys, I'm running out of time, so let's dive right into this.
Evidence is allowed in the trial of the accused Gilgo Beach serial killer. It will be a first for New York. A lab used the technology to link hairs on several of these murdered women to Rex Heuermann. Carolyn Gussoff was in court today where the founder of that lab testified.
University of California scientist Dr. Richard Green founded Astrea Forensics, a lab that claims it can extract DNA from even the most degraded samples, including hair with no root. That's the kind of hair found on belts and tape used to bind 6 of Rex Heuermann's 7 alleged victims. Green is no stranger to breakthroughs. He extracted DNA from ancient Neanderthal bones 15 years ago. He told the court it is now widely accepted science, but admitted his lab is not yet accredited. Auditors are very backed up. If allowed, it would be a first for New York.
They are the only people in that courtroom that their DNA is alleged to be on victims of homicide victims of a serial killer.
Heuermann's ex-wife and daughter were in court. Concerns, say their attorney, about alleged Suffolk corruption at the time the evidence was collected.
Asa has said from the beginning, she does not believe Rex, the man she married, and the father of her children was capable of committing these crimes.
Heuermann's attorney has hammered scientific experts who stand by it. What's novel about whole genome sequencing is it can use degraded fragments to determine the likelihood a sample came from one person. Cold Spring Lab human genetic scientist Dick McCombie says the science has improved exponentially.
Basic method that people used to amplify DNA was actually invented in the mid-1980s, but it's just gotten better and better how that's applied and made it so much easier to obtain and sequence minute samples.
Green told the judge law enforcement has referred hundreds of cases to his lab and that Suffolk County alone has spent $130,000 on the Gilgo cases. In Riverhead, Long Island, Carolina.
His trial's coming up quickly, Anna. Not exactly sure what time, what date. So here it looks like court paperwork signed to finalize divorce between Rex Heuermann and wife. Asa Ellerup filed for divorce from Rex Heuermann a week after her husband's arrest connected to the killings. However, says the family has never believed Heuermann was capable of murdering. So I think it's important, but the divorce was more of a strategic move on her part. It now allows her to have access to certain monies, maybe like a pension or something like that. Look at the daughter. Some movie. To save assets. That's what I'm thinking too, Cindy. Feel more strategic move on her part than separation. Free Rex. I like that. Well, the Rex doesn't get in front of the camera and go, oh, I'm innocent. You know, certain people fall shit. They're setting him up. Look, he's innocent. But with him, it's obvious. It is obvious. Let's try this. We'll stop sharing. Maybe that'll help. Girls must be on online. Okay, before we get out of here, we're going to hear a story from one of Rex's coworkers. Her name is Muriel Henriquez. That's her there. Muriel Henriquez. So this creeped me out a little bit. This is one of those red flags I was telling you guys about. Do not ignore the red flags. They're called red flags for a reason. You don't say, oh, look, there's a red flag. How cute. No, that's when you start looking around and assessing the situation a little better. So Aaron, I believe, is the person giving the interview. Never got any hint of another life. Muriel says, no. Muriel Enriquez worked at Heuermann's company, RH Consultants and Associates, and spoke exclusively to 48 Hours. She recalled a gift he gave her in the summer of 2007. Imagine a gift from the Long Island serial killer while you talk about working with him. Fuck. So, Muriel Enriquez with the sweater she received as a gift. Yep. I think it even came from Iceland. They explain it here. Muriel says, while holding the sweater, this is a sweater he asked his wife to bring back from a trip to Iceland. Enriquez, who said at the time, Heuermann wonders if his wife gave him the opportunity to kill Morin Brainard Barnes, July 9th, 2007. Now, how law enforcement believes when Asa would leave and go to Iceland on vacation, that's when Rex Heuermann. It all kind of tied in with that timeline. So they agree with Muriel. Aaron asks, how do you feel about this sweater now? Muriel says, no, I'm definitely not going to wear the sweater now. Why? Like, why would you? What the fuck? It's got mojo. She says she's Rex Heuermann she saw daily. Else is a little bit of a nerd in a way. He liked to talk about himself. What he, not a narcissist, a little bit of a, I never kind of guy. Aaron asks, pompous? Muriel says, pompous, yeah. She remembers him running to and from job sites, eating fast food on the run. Muriel says, pizza. That was his number one thing. Isn't that ironic? Because that's how they caught him. Is with the Domino's box. They were him, they came up from behind and took it in. They seized it as evidence, and they ran a DNA test on it. It's extremely ironic. Also, pizza. That was his number one thing. Wow. Killed, destroyed, and brought down by your favorite thing. That's extremely ironic. I love that's poetic. When she heard that police had recovered almost 300 firearms from a vault in Heuermann's basement, she was surprised only by the number. She knew him as an avid hunter. Going out shooting, hunting, that was his passion. What was it about hunting he liked? I don't know. I guess it was the idea of having a prize. Does Doc pray? Muriel says, prey and winning. He liked to win. And while she says it never occurred to her that you were dangerous, she does remember it when his track unnerved her. It was a vacation. Muriel says, where are you going? Said to her, where are you going? She said, I'm going to be in the middle of the ocean. You're not going to find me in the middle of the ocean. Rex said, yes, I can. Henrique didn't think much of the comment until the second day of her trip. Muriel says, there was a white envelope under my door. It was a note from him. The note said, I told you I could find you anywhere. Fuck that. But that's pretty much going to do it. This will be our 5-minute warning. So if you guys have anything to add, speak now, forever hold your peace. If you're part of that replay crew, you know what to do. Drop a comment. We'll do our best to get back to you. And if you need to reach me personally, just hit me up, sleuthintuition@gmail.com. And those of you who need to support my channel, members, subscribe, liking and sharing, donating to the Cash App, to the Zelle, or things like that. Just love about you. We are 100% crowdfunded, so I do appreciate that. Big shout out to you. Much love. Thank you. And an extra special thanks to the Sleuth crew. You know who you are. Charles, good to see you. Good to see you, Witch. Dark Side, what's going on with you? Okay, Best Buy. Rex Heuermann is a big fan of Keith Jesperson. You guys remember Keith Jesperson? He is the happy face killer. Here, let's put this guy up here for you guys to see. Serial killer, one of the most prolific. Well, here is a letter that he sent to Rex Heuermann. Says, if you would like to write me, and then he gives his address here, Keith H. Jesperson, P.O. Box 47, 88. He underlined 666. See, it's all Satanism, guys. That's all. When you don't have God anywhere around, anywhere to be seen, and he doesn't know who you are, you're susceptible to this shit. You are susceptible to demonic possession. I mean, look at what the BTK said. He said, I was possessed by a demon. Like, you guys may not believe me. I know it sounds cliche and it sounds a little odd, but my entire life I've been possessed by a demonic force. Well, BTK was one of the most prolific and sinister killers of our time. So those who have eyes, hopefully you'll see. But most of us will remain fools. It's our destiny. Yep, so far so good. Let's go ahead and close down that poll. Shut down some of these windows. That might be everything lagging. I have like 100 windows open. Thank you, Boston. Happy Easter, you guys. Fishy, what's up? Good to see you. The Bear Jew. Welcome in, everybody. Catching us at the tail end. But a shout out to the play. We see you. It's a busy weekend. You guys probably have family over. You know, so we'll have to catch you in the replay. No big deal. Bit of a derp. Mr. Derpface, Derper. All right. Where are we on this poll? How is your weekend going so far? 46% of you said great. 44% said nothing special. And 10% of you said shit. Well, sorry for you guys who are having a shitty weekend. I apologize. Hope things get better for you. But on that note, guys, that is all we have for today. It is quite possible that we'll would like to about the possibility of this and the Evansdale, or if we can finally put that to rest. Inquiring minds want to know, and if I can find the time, I will ask that question on a live stream later today. So either way, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you again real soon. Peace.